would like to welcome you today to palministries.com Blog Talk Radio, and we want to let you know that you can go to our website, palministries.com, and sponsor an episode. In the upper right corner, hit donate. We are also trying to raise money through the chip-in program, trying to raise money to become a premium host. We are looking forward to the show today. Thank you for stopping by. Before we start today's show, I would like to give you a vision of what PAL Ministries Blog Talk Radio is trying to do. We are trying to find out different struggles in areas where our movement may not be aware that there are struggles and needs. As we interview different ones, we are quickly realizing that everyone has struggles that no one ever knows. Our desire is not to embarrass anyone, but to let it be known that we all often experience the same types of ups and downs. Although every interview isn't about struggles, we do hope you realize that God is the one who helps in all areas. Whether we interview a teacher, a pastor, evangelist, layman, or laywoman, we all face issues. If we can learn from each other's struggles and successes, and then make the adjustments needed, we will then be further up the road as a holiness movement. Our passion is to have a movement that we can hand to our children and grandchildren that is as good or better than what was handed to us. We are living in a culture that gives no respect to anyone, and the church world is normally within 15 years behind culture. Thinking of that, the question I want to ask is this: where will we be in 15 years? So, palministries.com Blog Talk wants to approach areas which are normally overlooked and maybe not ever be publicized. We do appreciate all who have been willing to allow us to interview you, but our desire is to see our movement move forward and to learn from the past. Thank you, and now let's get on to today's show. Today we have with us, this is Jane Hannold, and I'm not going to do much introducing of her. Many people across the holiness movement know her, but I am going to ask her today if she would just please introduce herself, tell us where she is, and she has a lot of job titles, but we welcome you today to our show, Sister Hannold.
Thank you, James. I am Jane Hannold, better known as Mama Jane, Aunt Jane, Nana, or Bud's wife, whichever. My titles are wife, mother, Nana, aunt, and as a sideline, I am a director of the Family Care Ministries for the HIM Ministries of Hope Sound. I also am a doula, so I do some work for a maternity home. I have done work for a crisis pregnancy center for about 20 years. I didn't really have a title, but my director called me Miss First Care because I had been there longer than anybody else.
Sure.
So those are my titles.
In today's world, of course, we're dealing with the topic, kind of the struggle of young women, which that's what you specialize in. You know, we who are in the church, I feel like that we forget where some women come from. We are so closed in our little circle, and we don't realize how much women are facing. What are some of the? Could you give some of the issues that maybe women in general are facing today, and I guess specifically teen girls, and if you could maybe name the top 3 issues that the women of today, of our culture, not from inside the holiness movement, but our culture, are facing today.
I think the first one would be unplanned pregnancies, which usually, no, I won't say usually, but sometimes end up with abortion because they know nowhere else to go or what else to do.
Mm-hmm.
When you're in the counseling session in a room and it's an unplanned pregnancy, most always they will say, I have no choice.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to tell them you are making a choice.
Sure.
You either are going to save this child's life or you're going to abort it.
Sure.
The other thing I would say that is a real problem for our teenagers, for our society in general, is broken homes. And with that goes broken hearts.
Right.
And you will find, I have the statistics at home, but I didn't have them with me. There is a high percentage, it's like 80 to 90% of the families have no father.
Wow.
And as far as I am concerned, that is our highest issue in today's society. The fatherless homes are why we have so many confused children,
Mm-hmm.
women,
Mm-hmm.
mothers, wives. And the other thing that is a high problem with kids is peer pressure. Your drug culture, some people may not even know what I'm speaking about, but when I talk about cutting,
Yes.
those kind of issues are all concerned with peer pressure.
Right.
I would say that is our 3 main issues.
Okay. All right. As I stayed on this show, I'm focusing on the holiness movement, but I think we need to realize that if we don't watch it, it is so easy for our young people
Exactly.
to be facing these same things, and if we can understand what our culture is facing, we can deal, which we have an obligation to our culture to show them
Right.
Jesus anyway.
Right. May I say another thing here,
Sure,
James?
sure.
I think sometimes we as the holiness movement or Christians think it can't happen to our kids.
Mm-hmm.
But I assure you, there are people in your church and my church that have had unplanned pregnancies.
Sure.
There are some in our churches that have had abortions.
Mm-hmm.
And it's up to us to minister to those people.
Sure.
And if
Sure.
we don't, we're losing an opportunity that God has given us.
Right. Right. All right. When a teen girl comes to you, I guess let me back up. When a girl, I guess specifically, maybe she is expecting, and in our culture, our society, they push the idea of, oh, an abortion, just basically trying to push aside what actually happened, and almost like the feeling that, you don't need that responsibility right now. Get on with life. But when a teen girl finds herself in a situation, what would be the first step into her finding help?
My suggestion, her first step should be call a crisis pregnancy center or a pregnancy resource center, as they're called now. Let me give you an example. I just have been dealing with a 16-year-old that came to me, one of our Christian service teams. The girl found out she was pregnant and called me and said, Mama Jane, can you help this girl? And when she came to me, she was scared to death. Her mother had threatened her with, if you get pregnant, I'm going back to Mexico to take care of my mother. You've got to take care of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That's how she was going to control pregnancy.
Oh, wow.
It didn't work.
Right.
So the girl's pregnant. She comes to me, or I called her, and she was in tears, and she said, I don't know what to do. Mm-hmm. So the first step is you have to find somebody to help that girl. Okay. I went out, took her to an appointment with a pregnancy center, got her on Medicaid, which she was an illegal, and that's a problem in itself.
Right.
Got her on temporary Medicaid, which she later became okay with the Medicaid problem. Mm-hmm. I helped her through her pregnancy. I gave her clothes. I helped her with any appointments that she had to go through. I helped her with her WIC, got her set up, and then I've been out to visit her many times since the baby is born. This
Hmm.
is a 16-year-old that is a sophomore in high school.
Oh my.
And it's tragic because we are almost in our society encouraging it by the fact that we are now providing them with daycare for that baby.
Hmm.
We are taking them back and forth to school, the child back and forth to daycare. We're providing tutor service while she's out of school having a baby. Our taxes are paying for all of this. And not that I'm against people being here, we have to minister to them likewise. But this is one of the problems that we as a society are facing.
Okay.
And she did have a little baby girl in January, a beautiful child. But as I went to visit her and sat on her couch, her high school chromies, chums, let's put it
Hmm.
that way, were there. And all of their comments are, oh, she's so cute, she's so sweet. But
Right.
what they don't realize is this is an everlasting soul
Right.
that
Right.
we need to minister to
Sure.
and see that this mother teaches this child the right way to go.
Sure. Wow. And undoubtedly, with in your line of work, you've seen this over and over and over
Yes,
again.
yes.
Wow.
And if they don't keep their babies, a lot of times they will tell you, I can't adopt my baby out. And when you say, and why is that? Because I wouldn't know where she is or who's taking care of her, or but they can abort it. To
Right.
me, that doesn't make logical sense, but that's their mindset.
Sure. Sure. All right. I guess I'm trying to kind of get the full circle here. A lot of times, of course, of the ones I've known of, it seems like the boy is involved, but once it happens, sometimes they get kind of shoved out to the side at times, and there are reasons why. But is there any support mechanism or something that the boy should do or could do in dealing with his girlfriend that here reality hits him,
Mhm.
and in our culture, it is known that most just take off and
Walk away.
yes, walk away. Is there some support for the for that teen boy that wants to take the responsibility of being a father?
Well, first of all, I like what you say, take responsibility. That's the first step. Um, I would say 9 out of 11 at most relationships are broken up before the girl finds out she's pregnant or when she finds out she's pregnant. He's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very few do you find that will take the responsibility.
Right.
If they do, my first saying is you don't have to be married.
Right.
Just find God and abstain from that practice that caused the problem in the first place.
Sure.
But if you don't marry, um, that's not a sin.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's wrong to marry the wrong person
Right.
and have a marriage that ends up in divorce.
Mm-hmm.
Stay single and raise the child or whatever. But for the
Right.
boy, I would say the main thing he needs to do is find a mentor.
Okay.
Somebody that he can be accountable to. Maybe go to a church, find an older guy, maybe a college guy, or an older, young married guy, or an older guy that he can have a rapport with, that he can be accountable to, and
Okay.
that can help him grow and
Sure.
help him in whatever decisions he makes from here on out to be wise decisions. As far as abortion, the old saying, it takes two to tango.
Right.
There's always a guy and a gal when
Right.
there's a pregnancy.
Right.
And if there's an abortion, I have had them sit in my living room and cry. I mean, boys, young
Mm-hmm.
boys. and say, my first baby is no longer. My girlfriend had an abortion.
Right.
My parents' first grandchild is no longer.
Mm-hmm.
And there are, at the pregnancy centers, there are post-abortive classes for men.
Okay.
And I would suggest that if that has happened, you get in touch, because you may not feel it for a while, but someday that feeling is going to come back.
Sure.
I
Sure.
lost my first child,
Right. Right.
and you'll need help.
Right. I guess along with that, I know with me being a pastor, I always try to involve. You come down to spiritual issues, and this
Exactly.
is an area that when teens mess up, this is an area where the devil always
Mm-hmm.
takes them back to.
Mm-hmm.
You messed up, and sometimes it seems to be a roadblock
Right.
to them.
But it's not the end.
Mm-hmm.
It can be the beginning.
Sure.
If you take that mistake and turn it into something that will lead you the right way.
Right.
One of
Right.
the reasons I'm in my ministry is because a dear family member got involved
Mm-hmm.
premaritally.
Mm-hmm.
And had that not happened, I probably would not have been involved to the point that I am.
Okay.
Now, I do feel like at one time when I was a young mother, God spoke to me that I would deal with unwed mothers.
Mm-hmm.
And I just kind of put it on the back burner. I had 2 young children. I
Right.
didn't know anybody that was an unwed mother. But it came to fruition, and I know that God has a plan. And sometimes those things that look so bad can become a good thing in our lives if we'll
Sure.
let God use them.
Sure. Sure. Well, I guess what I was kind of leading up to is with a thinking from a pastor's perspective and thinking on the local church level, how can the local church help? I know one thing is admitting that we do have some, whether we want to admit it or not.
Mm-hmm.
I think we would be surprised how many of our teens are caught up with peer pressure or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. But how can the church help on the local level?
There's a lot of ways. One, I would say, is get involved. Get off of the pew. Go do something. There are local pregnancy centers. Um, they can use volunteers. Go take their training. If nothing else, if you never use it to volunteer, the information you learn is absolutely invaluable. You can have baby showers for the pregnancy
Okay.
centers. If you love to entertain, have some ladies in for tea. Get
Mm-hmm.
together and do something. Volunteer for a maternity home. Find out if there's one in your area.
Right.
We have a new one in Tequesta, and I hope eventually to be the on-site doula and help deliver the babies.
Oh, good.
Go take a doula class.
Mm-hmm.
You will find that most of the people in those classes are not holiness-minded
Mm-hmm.
by
Right.
any stretch of the imagination. However, I took a class, and I will be forever grateful for the information and what I learned.
Mm-hmm.
I've helped deliver babies from the girls at the college. I've
Mm-hmm.
helped deliver babies from the girls within the ministry.
Right.
And there's nothing more beautiful than being in a live birth. I
Sure.
can't tell you how beautiful it is.
Sure.
And there are so many areas. I'm starting a craft shop in Hope Sound, and all of the proceeds go to the HIM ministry, which will help support my family care ministry. You can do any number. Have a garage sale.
Mm-hmm.
Send the benefits down. Do some kind of craft. Send it to me. I'll sell it and give the money to HIM.
Mm-hmm.
There are innumerable things. Kids can get involved in the pregnancy centers. Walk for Life.
Mm-hmm.
Get sponsors. I just finished getting enough sponsors to give $1,000 to the Walk for Life in our local pregnancy center.
Good.
So, and I'm trying to get our youth group involved.
Sure.
Every youth group can be involved in something like this.
Right.
And we have a Bible study group of college girls. And they found out the list of needs for the maternity home. And they bought all those things and took them down and presented them. So there are any innumerable ways that you can be
Mhm.
involved if you really want to be.
That I was just getting ready to say. So if someone really, if they want to do something bad enough, they'll find a way to do it.
Exactly.
And we just need to realize that there are needs
Oh,
that
yes.
are represented. This is the end of our show today. This is part one of a two-part series. We invite you back in a couple of weeks to listen to our show with Sister Jane Hannold as she talks of teen struggles and specifically teen girls. Thank you for listening today, and God bless.